Hey Harlem, we're back. How you doing? Harlem, did you get the book or the audio? Did you figure it out? Welcome everybody. Come on in, hit the like button. Oh. Hey everybody. Come on in. We'll give people a chance to get in. I was gonna keep going on the audio, but I wanna when I read it in real time to be like surprised at what I'm gonna read. So, and I'm pretty sure most people have gotten the audio or the book or whatever. So we'll see how this goes. If everybody, has read it, already got it, we may not continue to do it live and just go on with our regular scheduled program, but we'll see what happens. Yes. So we'll give everybody a chance to get in. Welcome in. Hit the like button as you come in. Did you get the book or did you get the Welcome. Hello. Welcome in. Y'all let me know where you tuning in from. As you come in, if you would hit the like button. Right sounds. Hey, made it. Let me know where y'all tuning in from. Hit the like. So I want to do a poll. I want to know. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to get in to see what we need to do about this book, because regardless, either way, I'm going to read the book. Either way, whether it's live here or just by myself, I want to get through the entire book. And I didn't move on, except for I did dip into chapter 2, only because I couldn't help myself. Oh yeah. I think it is. So it's this book right here. It's the Becoming Myself from the Shame of R. Kelly's Abuse. Who's watching Shorty? Rashona Landfill. So this is, you know who this is, right? You know who this is that we're talking about? Of course, she's everywhere. She's on a book tour. So good for her. I think that the book is doing really well. I can't wait to see, it on a bestseller. Yeah. Yeah. So she's the one that was in the video with him that he urinated on. She was 14 years old. This is her. She's never come out and spoken. So this is her first time. So we got a few people in here. And I think my question is, like, do we want to read the book together, or do we just want to read it on our own and we kind of just talk about it? Because everybody at their own pace. And I know people are way past chapter 2 because it's been out for 2 days. So it'd be good to know what everybody wants to do, because if it's a waste of time for us to read it together live, or if everybody's read it and don't really want to be stuck with reading the chapters, let me know. So let me do a poll. Let me pull it up. I'll do that, Harlem. So I don't know how to do it. I don't know. Usually I can do it. So because I can't, this is what I'll do. For everybody that's in here, whoever's in here, if you want, yeah, so I was really leaning towards like read it for myself. I'll go ahead and do chapter 2 just because that's what we said we would do tonight. But I was thinking, just depending on what people want, because I want to do what y'all want to do, right? So read it. I just read it alone, and we come back and talk about it. So say after we do chapter 2 tonight, I'll read 3, 4, 5, and then come back and we'll talk about 3, 4, and 5, chapters 3, 4, and 5. Depending on people, if people already bought it, got the audio, whatever the case may be. So in the chat, if you want me to read live after tonight, continue to do this, put a 1 in the chat because I can't put the poll up here in StreamYard for whatever reasons. I don't see an option to do that. If I was on the YouTube app, I could do that. So if you want to continue to me to read it every night, do the chapter by chapter, and then we talk about it, put a 1 in the chat. If you want to read on your own and we just come back and talk about it, and that's just quicker, it's not so boring, whatever, let me know. But tonight we are going to get through chapter 2, and then whatever you guys decide, we'll do that. Because tonight is really not even our normal live. I just wanted to stick to my word because I said I was going to come live. So put a 1 in the chat if you want to continue to read it. Put a 2 in the chat if you want to just read on your own, and we come back and talk about it. I got a 1, which is 1 is we're going to continue to read it together. My audio is on my 2, right? Sound says to read it on our own, and then we come back and discuss it. That's fair. Come on, it's 9 people in here so far. What do y'all want to do? We need some more votes so we can at least break the tie. Do we continue to read it together, chapter by chapter, talk about it at the end, or read it on ourselves, put a 2, read it on our own, and we come back and discuss it? While y'all are thinking about that, we'll drop it again. I want to talk a little bit about David's best friend. I think I'm getting his name wrong, so let me get his name right before I move on. Welcome everybody. Thank y'all for being here. Hit the like button as you come in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. We would appreciate it. I just thank y'all for coming in and being a part of our live. What is this boy's name? Let me see. What's his? Do you know David on the David Celeste investigation? What's the boy's name that just went to? Is it Ne? Am I saying it right? Neo? Nothing. It's for why? That you had Pepsi. Let me mute it. Oh, All right, y'all. Like in the Matrix. Neo. Yes. Okay. I think I was right. All right. So anyway, let's move on, y'all. I want to talk about David and Celeste investigation just a little bit. I'm not sure who all is following it, but we have been following it bits and pieces. We know I'm trying to keep up with it. Just in case there's another one. I'm keeping it real. Which I'm keeping it real. What you said. Welcome. I'm keeping it real. What you said. Welcome. And there's a one. Thank you for being here. And there's another one. So we may be still reading it right. But if you guys have not, let's just do a real brief overview of what's going on with David and the David Celeste Rivera Hernandez Gomez, whatever her name is. I'm sorry, I don't mean to mess her name up. But anyway, so we know that she's unalived. She was a young 15-year-old girl. Everybody that kind of has been discussing it is just kind of getting frustrated with the fact that there has not been an arrest yet. But what they're talking about pretty much is that they have not they haven't made an arrest, but also Neo showed up was extradited to California and showed up to allegedly, we're just not sure what went on because it was really brief, but allegedly went in front of a grand jury in California and stayed in there for 40 minutes. Sources are saying that's not long enough to actually testify in front of a grand jury. 40 minutes is just not long enough. Maybe he pleaded the fifth. He activated his Fifth Amendment rights. Just not sure, but it's very eerie. This whole situation with Neo and Celeste and David and the whole debacle, the whole situation is just really eerie. We've heard that her body was frozen, and then when it got to the corners, it was like half unfrozen. That David went to San Bernardino for a period of time. Was he looking for a place to bury her, or what was going on in that time? They go in his house and they find this it's like a hot oven that gets up to like 600 degrees or something like that, where it could burn a body, right? A lot of craziness going on, and they still have not made arrests. But everything that's going on leads to allegedly that David has something to do with it now. But we also know that if that's the case, if they're transporting this unalived body and it ends up in the Tesla, there had to be some help to lift that weight, right? And to move the body from place to place. The body was decapitated, partially decapitated. So, and found in the bag. Who helped put her in that bag, right? So there's a lot of still unanswered questions. I just wanted to touch bases on that because we are following this story. I feel like, let me say this. I don't know what the weight is for an arrest to be made, but I feel like when it does happen, there's going to be more than one person. I believe, because they have named David as a suspect, I believe that he will be one of those arrests if they're able to make an arrest at the end of the day. I'm like, right sounds always says when we talk about these crime stories is that whoever they arrest, the people involved that they bring in to interrogate, that the first person that goes in is going to be that person that rats, that tells everything, because they're scared and they're going to get the deal first and they're going to tell on everybody else. So I'm not sure what Neo is up to, but they're still saying that it's not 40 minutes is not long enough to testify. So we're going to continue to watch the story, or to follow this story. What my hope is that they find who actually done this, that they actually make some arrest, because it has to be so grueling for her family to hear these stories every day. There's no really progress, but maybe there is progress being made and we just don't know about it. Because at the end of the day, when there is an open investigation, they're not in a possible trial that could happen, they're not going to give us everything, right? So we're going to continue to watch it. We're going to continue to follow the story. And we're going to bring it to you guys as soon as we know anything breaking on that. We will be bringing it to you guys. So right now the tie has been broke. Only 3 people voted, and I'll give you another chance or opportunity at the end to vote. But right now we got 2 1s, and then we got 1 2 in the chat that says the one says that we say that we continue to read it together live. And the 2 say, no, let's just go read it by ourselves and come back and talk about it. So we got 2 1s and 1 2. So if you want to vote and you want to make a difference over here about what we do with this book, oh, wrong book, with this book, right? We're going to read this book. And so if we want to continue to read it together, put a 1 in the chat. If you want to read it on your own, already read it, whatever, and just discuss it, put a 2. Let's get started. So we're reading chapter 2. We went through chapter 1. We already read it, just kind of introduction of her. We heard the prologue where Drew Dixon, who just won against L.A. Reid in court and got paid a substantial amount of money, but she did win her case against L.A. Reid. She did the prologue for this audio book. And then Rashona comes back in on chapter 1. So chapter 2, what we're going to find out is we're going to hear a lot about what her Aunt Sparkle had been telling her. We're going to hear about her coming into a young lady and the things that ladies go through. We'll hear about that. We'll hear about it's a lot about Sparkle. So she went on, let me just read my notes, because she's going on a tour to promote her book to different big outlets, right? So I heard an interview, a new one today on a Chicago news outlet. So she said that she wrote this book for her son and she wanted to reclaim her name, which that's what she's already, we already knew that. The thing about this is it's been 28 years. She was 14 years old and she's 41 now, and it's been 28 years. And she said there was no good time to write this book. There was just no good time. So what she wanted to do is she wanted to tell her story, her truth, because she's the one that lived it. So that when she's ready to sit down with her 5-year-old son, but she's not ready yet. But when she sits down with her son, then he'll know what his mom told him. And then this book is out here as well, so that he could hear it from her side of the story and how it really happened in her experience. She said she is still healing. She's still in the process of healing even after 28 years. That's a lot. There was a lot of trauma for a 14-year-old and a lot to bear weight. What she did say also is that she is actually still getting unaliving threats like people to her family are calling and making these threats to her still to today. They're still blaming her for the ultimate decision that was made for RKelly. It's all her fault. She said that her family calls her and reaches out to her. They're a very close-knit family, and they've apologized to her. She said she's even apologized to them because she wasn't, the best in this situation either, but they did apologize. The big thing for me is she also said that she wanted to make it very clear that it wasn't her Aunt Sparkle that groomed her. It was RKelly that groomed her. This is her story. That's what she's saying. She said she was tired, though, of operating out of fear. She said, and so she needed to just, and she had to learn how to stop blaming her 14-year-old self, because it was not her fault. If you go back and you look at your 14-year-old daughter, your 14-year-old sister, your 14-year-old niece, granddaughter, whatever it is, and you look at a 14-year-old with a 32-year-old man, or however old he was, 18 years older than her, what kind of control does she have? What kind of control does she have when there was no one protecting her at the time? So the things that she feels like the things that Sparkle was telling her was kind of schooling her, right? but Sparkle told her and confided in her a lot about what Sparkle did. Sparkle, little hot mama. But that's her business. She said that so they talked about in the interview, they talked about if she knew about the recording of the video. Did she know that he was recording? And she said absolutely she knew, because all of his actual acts were recorded. So she knew it was recorded. She just didn't. She said the thing that she did not know until she watched it is that she was being fed champagne, giving her champagne the whole time that was happening. The recording was happening. She was being given champagne. And she said, so she watched it for the first time in court so that she could identify herself, for one, so that she would be able to testify. And that's when she realized that she was being fed alcohol at 14 years old. She said that for R. Kelly, she was like, because they was like, do you want him to stop his music and be canceled? The music just turned off. She was like, would never ask for his music, for him to be canceled in that way with his music, because she can't take away his talent that he had and the musical genius that he is. What her hope is for him is that he's learning something. What her hope for him is that he would be accountable and that he would understand the masses of people that he hurt. As far the people that was around them and knew she was there and kind of knew what was going on, saw her in the studio, saw her around, they kind of turned a blind eye to anything. And she said they even were able to just even convince themselves that this wasn't happening. So she hoped now that there's good people around him. She has nothing bad to say about R. Kelly. And then finally, before we get to reading chapter 2, they asked, was like a lot of the alleged victims or the victims of R. Kelly, they were people, or when people would report on it, like YouTubers and people telling the story would say that these families were being paid to not tell on R. Kelly or whatever the case may be. Was that the case for your family? She said that's not the case for her family. She said what happened is because she was in a situationship with R. Kelly. People were harassing her parents at work. They couldn't work. They got fired. They couldn't live. They didn't have money to live off of. So he started taking care of them financially in order to be able to live. And I think, if I'm being honest, what I think about this part of it, they were being paid to not say anything about what was going on with their daughter. I think that she's saying that's not the situation, but it looked like it to me that because mom and dad kind of lied on the stand. I think, this is alleged. And if that's the case, then what was keeping them from not saying? Her dad worked for R. Kelly. She said, and a lot of these people didn't want to lose their job, is why they didn't say what was going on with her, but she appreciates Sparkle for going to authorities. And then the last thing is that she said, while she's still in the healing process, she does have a nonprofit. She wants to bring awareness to the M word and the P word. And I hope y'all can figure that out, to young girls and any young boys, anybody that's being M'd, or to any P word person, right? And then she said it was at the age of 17 that she realized that she said she tried to make herself just want to believe that ain't her in the tape, just make believe that it wasn't her in the tape. But at 17, it really hit her. And that's when she really got down and depressed. And she realized it about the tape situation because he explained it to her. So anyway, let's get to chapter 2, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and we won't keep you long after chapter 2. Catching Feelings is what the title is of chapter 2. Let me see what Wright says. He said, these people are so weird. They are so sure he didn't do it because he made good music. They don't know him whatsoever. Makes no sense. Oh, whenever they asked her about his music, if she wanted him to be canceled, She was like, she didn't, all people knew of him is the music, is the public persona of him. They didn't know what was going on behind closed. They didn't know the real Robert Kelly. They knew R. Kelly, the music, the talent. So she said she can't fault them for that, but they can't speak about what went on behind closed doors and what her experience was. You can't, she said, and she had to learn to say, she said now she's fully grown, fully developed. She knows how to handle when people say it's her fault, or that, you know, she caused all this or whatever the negatives are. She knows how to handle those. She knows who she is today. She's still living, she's still standing. So let's move on. You expose me, all of this goes away. Yep, absolutely right. I agree. So let me move on to start chapter 2, or to get through chapter 2. Yes, I gotta put my glasses on. All right. So crisscross, little bow wow. Me, I was, oh no, I mean chapter 2. We already did that. Catching feelings is what it's called. A few months into being 12, I was playing in an AAU basketball game when my first period caught me by surprise. Initially, I was embarrassed, thinking I had wiped well, but when my mom picked me up and we made what I thought would be a pit stop at Granny's house, Granny stepped in like she had been waiting her whole life for this. Do you have cramps, Rashona? Mom seemed caught off guard by my news and at a loss about what to do. These glasses is crooked on my face. And at a loss about what to do. Granny left the room and walked into the bathroom. I don't think so. I wasn't sure what cramps felt like. I mean, it felt like, I don't know, a little weird feeling. And then I thought I had an accident. I felt like I couldn't help it. I hunched my shoulders. Well, praise be, Granny's voice returned to the room before her body did. She was holding a value-sized bottle of Massengill Feminine Wash. She said, now that you're a little lady, Rashona, you have to keep yourself very fresh and clean. She took the Massengill in her hand. Valerie, this child needs some pads. Go into the hall closet where I keep my extra supplies and things, and grab me a maxi pad and a pair of dark blue or red panties, not white. Mom's face was stamped with surprise. I didn't think you needed pads anymore, Ma. I've got daughters, nieces, and now granddaughters who might need some. She nodded and smiled at me. Things happen, Valerie. Can you please just get the panties and 4 pads so she can put one in her school backpack and have 2 for tonight? Granny shook her head. Mom disappeared into the back of the house. Granny chatted about the miracle of being able to bring forth a new life. I squinted because I didn't get it, and because I felt another one of those weird feelings deep inside below my belly button. I had never thought much about there being anything else inside of me other than my bladder, but I knew this wasn't urine, even though I was wetting myself. And now Granny had her arms on my shoulder, rocking herself at me, her smile full of awe for the wonders of God. My face must have been full of confusion when Mom returned, 4 thick maxi pads flapping on her hands. She means that you can get pregnant, Rashona, that your body is able to because you got your period. Mom's face was pressed into a light frown. I answered her frown with my own. There was something light years from my mind. Judging from Mom's face, that made 2 of us. Yes, Rashona, once God bless you with a good, God-fearing man to be your husband and your family's provider, then you'll surely be blessed to have babies, Granny smiled. But until that happy day, let's get you cleaned up. Granny led me to the bathroom, closed the door, and I waited. I had been using the bathroom by myself for years, so I waited too. Rashona, I forgot to tell Valerie to get you a washcloth. Go get one, please. Not white, and bring the woolite too. You'll need to sponge out those soiled panties. Granny shooed me away with her hand and sat on the edge of the bathtub. I started running, but feeling another weird feeling, I slowed down. I didn't know what I'd find in my underwear, and the idea that Granny was going to find out when I did made me hot with embarrassment. Returning to the bathroom with washcloth and woolite in my hand, I found Granny humming a hymn. Don't be nervous, baby. I went through this with each of my 3 daughters. It's something that happens to all girls at some point, and today is your day. Now let's get out of those clothes so you can take a shower. When Granny saw me hesitate at her instructions. She turned to give me privacy until I was behind her frosted shower curtain. I wondered how much she could see of me, but she acted like it was normal for her to be in the bathroom with me as I stood naked in the shower. Granny coached me through how to clean myself from top to bottom, giving me an especially detailed play-by-play on how to manage my vaginal hygiene, sorry. When it was time to get out, she held out a bath towel, and I was only too happy to wrap myself in it. Now you're going to hand wash these in a moment. She motioned towards my soiled underwear, staring up at me from the bathroom sink, which was not where I had left them. I was embarrassed all over again. Step into your clean panties, Rashona, and pull them up to your knees. I readjusted my towel so it wouldn't fall. My grandma used to call them step-ins. Since you step into them. Granny chuckled at the memory. Okay, good, Rashona. Now watch what I do. She pulled a long strip off of the underside of the pad that I hadn't even realized was there. Now be careful to hold the pad by the sides to keep it clean. You don't want any dirt getting inside of you. I had just taken a shower and washed myself according to Granny's step-by-step instructions, so I couldn't imagine I had any dirt on my hands. I thought about all the times I had run in from playing basketball or football so quickly, wash my hands before going to the bathroom without giving a thought to the dirt and sweat on my skin before wiping myself. Had I been contaminating myself without even realizing it? I didn't want to ask Granny. I feared that her answer would be yes, and that she'd have a lot more instructions on how to use the bathroom. Okay, I took the pad from her, taking care to hold it as she was. Now press it in your underwear so it sticks, Rashona. I was holding my bath towel with my left hand and the pad with my right. I didn't have an extra hand to press the pad into the panties. I clamped my left underarm tight up against my body and let go of the towel with my hand. My hands fumbling with the pad, I felt my towel slipping off my body. I froze. It's okay, baby. I kept trying to protect my modesty. Okay, Rashona, let me just keep that up for you. Granny held up my towel and I pressed the pad into my panties. She didn't say anything when my fingers touched the center of it by mistake, though I heard her make a small gasp. Okay, good. Now scoot your panties all the way up. I did. Granny handed my falling towel back to me and turned her back. She was studying my soiled panties in the sink. I had forgotten about those. Did she really expect me to wash them and hold up my towel too? Would you like a robe to wear, Rashona? Yes, please. Valerie, please grab that child my extra robe, the terry cloth one. That's the one on the hook door of my second closet. It might be under a few things. Just look for it. When Mom returned with the robe, I put it on over my towel, tying it tight. Granny completed my tutorial with Mom standing in the doorway of the bathroom. I couldn't understand why she needed to be there, but since Granny had talked me through my shower, I decided to leave that question alone. From that point on, I knew exactly what to do, and thankfully, I was trusted to manage it on my own. Mom even bought me my own box of pads. I just had to let her know when I needed more. I didn't learn about the existence of tampons for several more years. I felt different, more feminine somehow. I started to notice how girls at school dressed and wore their hair, so I could take pointers on how to represent myself as the adolescent girl I now knew myself to be. These experiences quickly found their place in my future woman toolkit, right alongside the suggestive 90s lyric penned by my godfather as his contemporaries and Aunt Sparkle's equally spicy stories of her romantic adventures. Aunt Sparkle had already shared with me that she had been intimate with Robert. I was 13 years old when she asked if he had gotten me something for Christmas. Though I had been enjoying the perks of being Robert's goddaughter, playing basketball on reserved courts, dining at Cheesecake Factory for no reason at all, and especially hanging with him at the studio, I hadn't thought much about the fact that he didn't give me a present until Aunt Sparkle asked. No, I answered, my voice flat. Oh, Aunt Sparkle's voice was nonchalant. She looked down at her arm and slipped on a chunky silver bracelet with a big G on it. Then she ran her fingers along the G. I watched her finger trace the letter over and over. Did he get you something? I asked. I hadn't cared 1 second before, and part of me still didn't, but now a part of me did. Yes, Sean. Aunt Sparkle's eyes shine. He got me this. Her mouth pulled into a demure smile. She stuck out her arm so I could get a good look at, at the bracelet she had been playing with. Gucci, she answered the question I didn't ask. Oh, wow, I stared. It's pretty, isn't it? Aunt Sparkle asked. Aunt Sparkle admired it again. I couldn't think of anything else to say. The silence between us felt strange. I felt strange. Why did she ask me that? And why do I feel bad all of a sudden? I couldn't figure out why she chose that way to tell me what he had gotten her, or why I felt weird. I didn't realize it was the stirrings of jealousy. I can't remember which crush came first, Romeo or Jonathan. But since I didn't really know how to act around them, I just made sure I played basketball, football, or whatever the boys were playing so I could be around them in my free time. And once one of them and I established we both liked each other, we'd walk home from school together, sometimes stopping to get a daily double at the local McDonald's before giving each other a goodbye hug. Whereas I never seemed to know what to discuss with Jonathan and had resorted to play fighting with Romeo when we were crushing on each other. I never had a problem engaging in long and thoughtful conversations with Robert. Despite the temporary weirdness with my Aunt Sparkle, I had fun with Robert. He was interested in what I was interested in, and he didn't mind talking basketball or music for as long as I wanted to. When him with him on his cell and me on my home phone, I had my own phone line that rang only in my room. We recounted the highlights of our days. He always had an endless string of questions about my family and friends, and he seemed to genuinely value my opinions. When I was around Robert, I started feeling little tingles, almost like butterflies, when he would grab my hand and kiss me, when he would grab my head and kiss me on the forehead, or when the two of us were watching a movie together at the studio. I felt exhilarated. As I peppered him with questions about his life during our phone conversations, questions that he seemed all too willing to answer, I realized that I was nursing a crush that felt altogether new. Better than my awkward kitty crushes, this was also more meaningful than a celebrity crush because I was getting to know the person behind the R. Kelly persona. I began to look forward to our rambling phone conversations. Then, when I was at the studio one day, Robert hugged me a little too long and a little too tight, and my newly teenage body felt something had changed between us. From that point forward, our phone conversations took on another dimension. I remember when early on I was lounging on my twin bed in the late afternoon. I had already finished my homework and was listening to the music on my black stereo set in the corner of my room. I pulled off my jeans so I could hang out in my bed until mom called me for dinner. I grabbed my red cordless phone and it lit up as I dialed Robert's cell phone number. As we chit-chatted, my feet pushed under the jumble of covers on my bed and my knees tucked under my chin. I imagined that my wall posters of Foxy Brown, 702, and especially Usher were all eavesdropping on my conversation with Robert. What do you have on right now? Robert's voice sounded different. I stopped looking at Usher and glanced down at myself. Drawers, drawers and a t-shirt. My reply was quickly and unrehearsed. He corrected me. Don't say it like that. That's not attractive. Say panties and a t-shirt. Panties and a t-shirt, I replied. Better. Robert's voice was thick. He cleared his throat. I like that. With my phone cradled against my ear, Robert's loud, irregular breathing penetrated my breath. I thought to ask him if he was okay, but stopped myself. Thankful I was the only one with him on the phone line and that my parents were equally busy talking on their home phone lines. I realized that my question was dumb. I looked down at my panties now, marveling at their transformation. The idea that I could say a word that Robert found attractive or unattractive amazed me. My first lesson about what Robert liked felt as if I had cracked open the lid to Pandora's box. I had little idea what could open it wider, but the cocktail of hormones that swirled around inside of me made me wonder. Though I suspected that my Aunt Sparkle might know, something about this felt private, like I was being drawn into a secret. Keeping secrets for Robert was another of my lessons. I wasn't 14 yet. I wasn't 14 yet when I found myself wading into the murky waters of amorous entanglements, and competing secrets. The phone conversations between Robert and me still began with the regular chatter about how we spent our day, but it wouldn't take too long before he steered us further away from the familiar and into the uncharted territory. Be ready to talk that SH for daddy, Robert's words were. Robert's words were a command and an invitation. Okay, you know your words make me feel stuff, Show. Can you guess where my hand is? Are you touching your chest? Keep going. Your belly button? Closer. Are you touching yourself? Tell me what I'm touching. He took me on a tour of himself, what he was wearing, and how he was touching himself. His voice husky and with anticipation, he navigated me through the same. How do your nipples feel? Are they hard? They're regular, no, I guess. Then squeeze them, roll them between your fingers. At his direction, I began to explore my budding body. I bet they're hard now. Yes. Robert had already told me that our special conversations were just between us. I felt conflicted about the secrecy of our exchanges, but blown away that he knew things about my body that I didn't. Hold on. Okay. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him or me if anyone found out about them, so I quickly switched into protective mode and stayed quiet. This was how Robert introduced me to the world of a phone X. His commanding voice instructed me on how to awaken my own actual responses, which was unexpected for me, but he seemed to know it was there. With a grown man's confidence, he reassured me that what we were doing was natural and that my body wanted it as much as his. Even as our secrets multiplied, the emotions that twisted around my heart and burned within me made me desperate to believe him. After all, how could my body do all of this? I had just turned 14. I kept deepening my muddled feelings to myself, my mind barely comprehending the messiness of the whole situation. While I was beginning to crave more alone time with Robert, I was also growing in my love and admiration for his wife, Andrea, as my godmother. An accomplished dancer in her own right, Andrea was beautiful and elegant and never hesitated to indulge our shared love of shopping and eating out. We'd make a day of it at Water Tower Place on Chicago's Magnificent Mile, me getting my Tommy Hilfiger fix and her buying a new leotard or specialty dance item before we stopped for a decadent drink at Starbucks, a place she put me onto. Then we'd bond over a chick flick at the movie theater, or come back to their home and watch a rom-com in their TV room, complete with sparkling apple cider and Andrea's special spaghetti as a kickoff to an impromptu sleepover. Andrea also shared her beauty regimen, explaining what she ate. Even what she ate was even more important than the cosmetics she sometimes wore. I learned that she chose not to eat red meat to promote optimal health. Her glowing skin was a ringing endorsement. And at 14, I stopped eating it too. These were genuine moments for us. I looked up to her as a woman who was following her professional passions while also being a good mother. But a part of me felt like an understudy of who she was. I watched how she maneuvered with Robert and seemed to accept her lifestyle, wondering how I would feel if I ever got top billing in Robert's life. Aunt Sparkle wasn't a safe confidant for my questions because of her entanglement with Robert. My pains of jealousy were real. When she dropped actual tidbits, her loaded statements seemed to draw dotted lines from comparison between his treatment of her as his musical protege and of me as his goddaughter. And I knew each of our official relationships had an unspoken counterpart, which for Robert included being a married man. But it was hard for me to grasp how many lines have been crossed since those lines seemed not to exist for Robert. That made me willing to let him blur too, to let them blur too. Of course, he had forbidden me from telling Aunt Sparkle or anyone about talking SH for daddy because our secrets were something others wouldn't understand. With the gnawing feeling that Aunt Sparkle was my competition for Robert's heart, I took his word for it. Sean, can you keep a secret? Aunt Sparkle shared lots of things. And Aunt Sparkle shared lots of things, but she didn't often say that was her shared. But she didn't often say that what she shared with me was a secret. So I perked up. For sure. I was at her apartment watching her try on her clothes. She'd try on an outfit and then say that too many people had seen her wear it before, or that it wasn't in style anymore and she needed to buy something new. But it all looked great to me. Everything was silky, shiny, skin tight, or short. And on her slim body, shapely frame, on her slim but shapely frame, everything made her look like a star. I said as much. Thanks, Sean. She blew a kiss through the air that landed on my nose. But let me tell you my secret. She sat down beside me on her bed so we could be at eye level. I have a boyfriend. Oh wow. She sounded excited, so I felt excited for her. I'll tell you who, but you have to promise to keep it a secret. Okay, who? Of course I wouldn't tell. Who would I tell anyway? Okay. And Sparkle's face lit up before she said his name. He's a producer and songwriter. His name is Steve Huff. I smiled. In case y'all don't know who Steve Huff is a touring and session bass player. He played for RKelly. He played for Yolanda Adams, the Winans. He played alongside Percy Beatty and Keith Henderson. So he worked for RKelly. But anyway, she said that his name is Steve Huff. I smiled. I felt happy for her. I had no idea who Steve Huff was, but it was clear that Aunt Sparkle did. It was clear that Aunt Sparkle did, and that she was glad to have him as her boyfriend. Do you love him or like him? That felt like a good girlfriendly kind of question to ask. And Sparkle laughed. What do you know about loving and liking men? She took her head and laughed again. I think I could love him, Sean. Maybe even soon. I don't know. And Sparkle looked dreamy for a moment. But I'm serious about keeping this a top-notch secret, especially from Robert. Okay, I'm serious, Sean. Steve and Robert particularly hate each other. If Robert finds out, he'll tank me. I must have looked puzzled. He'll ruin my career, Sean. Do you understand? I mean, my personal business is not his business. We're just in business together. That's all. But he can mess things up for me. That's why I don't need him up in my SH. You understand? Okay. She opened her eyes wide at me. Yes, I understand. I had no desire to share her news, and there was no one to share it with anyway. So it was my full intention to do what Aunt Sparkle asked of me. At some point, Aunt Sparkle started questioning me about my conversations with Robert. She wasn't asking about what I discussed with him, only whether he said anything about her. Did he ask about her romantic relationship? My answer was always no until he did. I was 14 and a half, and Aunt Sparkle's debut album and Robert's new label had just dropped. One day when I was at the studio, Robert came into the room with me. The studio was a maze of dark, windowless rooms, some with control panels and recording booths. Others were black boxes full of sofas, blow-up mattresses, massage tables, and dozens of framed platinum records. Robert closed the door and stood in front of it. I craned my neck to look at him from my seat on the couch. I need to ask you a question, and I need you to be honest with me. His voice was measured, but no nonsense. Okay, I answered, but inside it turned to jelly. I felt like I knew what he was going to ask, and I hoped he wouldn't because Aunt Sparkle told me not to tell. But I didn't feel like I could lie to him either. He was my godfather and the person I most wanted to please. I also knew he had authority over me. Robert stepped closer, his hand still on the doorknob. I pressed my body into the couch, hoping I'd disappear. Does Sparkle have a boyfriend? Yes. He drilled holes in my brain with the stare. I was sure he could see everything I was thinking. Well, do you know who it is? Yes. I knew I knew it was too little for an answer. What's his name? He growled, his voice as hard as his eyes. Steve Huff, I whispered. I effing knew it. I effing knew it, Robert's voice like hot venom spewing down on me. I was sitting there squirming, knowing that Robert was as angry as Aunt Sparkle said he would be, and that she would be mad at me too. I didn't know what to do. I don't know what Robert and Aunt Sparkle discussed after that, but it became painfully clear to me that my revelation had, in fact, jeopardized her music career like she said it would. They started arguing at the studio, and their business relationship was completely toxic after that. All this happened when she was filming videos for her first song to be released as singles. Yes, her album went platinum, but her time with Robert was basically over. I don't know how long it took for it to officially end or what the terms were for them to part ways, but it definitely ended. Guilt made my ears perk up into the gossipy tidbits I overheard at the studio and my mom's side of several phone conversations I ear hustled at home. So I knew Aunt Sparkle blamed me for what happened. Of course, I was still Robert's goddaughter, and Dad was still a session musician for him. So I was still around, but now Aunt Sparkle wasn't. And just like that, my unsupervised time with Robert doubled. Now our secret conversations could happen in person. At the risk of getting ahead of myself, I want to share three quick thoughts. One, I hope you don't snap the book shut. I hope you don't snap the book shut now and rush to spill the tea on social media about how I have an effed up family. This SH is complicated, and lots of folks have messy families, maybe including yours. Two, I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a niece, a coworker, and a Black woman in America trying to be whole. I'm choosing to be transparent, not to be someone's punchline or punching bag, but to try to heal. We all got to heal from one thing or another. Maybe there's something in my story that will help you. Three, and this is big. I don't hate Aunt Sparkle. I love her. She was and still is a talented and beautiful woman. I appreciate that she always saw my gifts and talents and wanted me to soar in the music industry. The good intentions notwithstanding, not every choice was good. And sometimes she, like many, may not have been clear about her intentions. I also know that the crap that happened between Sparkle and Robert wasn't my fault. I was a child entrusted with information I should not have been given. I'll elaborate further later. Hindsight is 2020, but we live going forward, not backward. So left to my own devices, I was about to jump from a frying pan into the fire. That's chapter 2. So that's the end of chapter 2. Where's my little painting? All right. All right, y'all. So what are we thinking? Here are my thoughts. As I said, we were going to hear a lot about Sparkle. You guys, I was listening to an interview, and the lady had read the book, and she said Sparkle's name is mentioned over 100 times in this book. Like her and Sparkle was really close. That was her aunt. And what I'll say is that also, like, Sparkle was older than her and was giving her information that she was right, that wasn't for kids. And because Robert, according to her, had all of this power over her, over everybody that was around him at this time. He was on the top of his game at the time, right? And because he had that power over her, whatever he wanted to know, she was going to give it up. I don't think Sparkle knew at that time the conversations that her and Robert were having, and how Robert was starting to groom her and introduce her to her actuality of her body, the things her bodies would do. And so she trusted that it was just a goddaughter godfather relationship. This is my opinion. Y'all tell me what you think. And so Sparkle was giving her too much information for a 14-year-old, even though maybe Rashona appeared to or acted like she could handle that information. Whatever Robert wanted her to do or wanted to know that she knew, she was going to tell it. But Sparkle wasn't privy to that. And so Sparkle knew that if she told it, that if Rashona told it, her career was over. So for me, I'm like, well, why would you even say it? If this is a relationship that you're having that can't be known, then you don't tell anybody about it. Especially a 14-year-old that is very gullible and not understanding how detrimental it is for her to hold something to her heart and not tell, right? Would she have told somebody else? I don't think so. I think it's the power that Robert had over her, that whatever Robert wanted to know, RKelly, then that's what she would do. She would tell him. Another interesting part in there is that she talked about Drea, and she talks about how Drea spent time with her, took her shopping. She was Drea's goddaughter. Do we believe that? I do, but do we believe that Drea was privy to the things that was going on with Robert and with RKelly and Rashona? Like, did at 14, did Andrea, did she realize what was going on with Robert and Rashona? Here's my thoughts. I feel like, even because Robert discounted that he was married, right? I didn't even know that he was married to Andrea till she came out with that reality show. And it was Eddie Murphy's wife. It was her. And who else? Another wife. And I was like, that's RKelly's wife? Like, he had a wife? So he wasn't moving like a married man anyway. Who knew about his wife? I didn't know about his wife. Let me see. Harlem says, I think it was Sparkle's plan from the beginning. Drea knew Rashona testified. Drea knew Rashona testified to it at trial. That she knew what was going on. So I guess the question was, what is it true or not that that Andrea and Rashona, did she ever testify to her being intimate with Andrea? Andrea. I think her name is Andrea. Dre. So like I'm kind of, I don't know about that relationship, and maybe we'll hear about that later on in the book. But you said that you feel like it was Sparkle's plan from the beginning. It was Sparkle's plan for what in the beginning? Okay, so she did have relations with Andrea. So shouldn't she be accountable too? I think Andrea should be accountable as well. But what are you telling me? Yes, that was the other wife. What was the name of the show? So Harlem, the question is, I think, is what was Sparkle's plan from the beginning? What are your thoughts on that? So are you saying that bringing RKelly around to meet them in the beginning, Sparkle came with she had motives from the start, from the get-go? And what were her motives? What do you think her motives were? I feel like it's exactly what Rashona was saying, is that she told Sparkle told Rashona that she was intimate with RKelly. R. Kelly started paying a lot more attention to Rashona, and Sparkle got a little jealous about that. Hollywood exes, girl, you own it. That's it. That's what it was. That's what it was. I watched it too because at that time Drea was with a man. She brought her fiance on there, right? On the show. But that's the first time I knew she was R. Kelly's wife, that he had a wife. Sparkle tried to get her family. Sparkle tried to get her family on to make some money. Right. I understand that. Her motive was to make sure that the family was taken care of. She got Greg Landfair on, and she introduced him to Rashona. Unfortunately, her music career was halted because of the situation. Then also in chapter 2 is when he starts to actually groom her, bringing him to the show and introducing him. Then the Godfather thing, now trying to make her jealous because he got Sparkle a bracelet. Like, yeah, her motives, right? She has motives. So it was at 14 that he started grooming her with the the phone X, right? The phone talks that they have, and kind of like showing her the ropes of her body and what her body can do as a grown man, as her godfather, as a grown man. And I think that's where the grooming starts, and she makes it clear that it wasn't Sparkle. I don't think that Sparkle's intention was to groom her to be with R. Kelly, by no means. But I'm like you, Harlem. I think it was her intention to be the godfather, so they could have that plug right to the money. So if he's her godfather, we're in. Her conversations with Rashona at 12. Yeah, that's true. When she was telling her to keep herself clean, when she might want to have, but do we think she was setting her up to be like with R. Kelly? It was like she was preparing her, yeah. And do we think that with her preparing her like that she already knew how he was? Like, was he always just like that? And she knew it, and so she said, okay, we're gonna get it. So now he's gonna be the godfather. And then this is how you keep yourself clean. So somebody, just in case you maybe not be ready right now, like all the things. So this whole thing, you think that Sparkle's whole motive was to groom Rashona for that moment? Let me see. Yes, Sparkle was jealous, yep, and thought if she went back and said she was dating Kelly and thought she, oh, I see what you're saying. So if R. Kelly found out that she was dating, that R. Kelly would want her more. He would desire Sparkle more, right? Is that what you're saying? I can see those thoughts. And then she picked someone that was working with him, that was in his band, working with him. But Sparkle made her rounds, though, in the industry, obviously. I mean, according to this, according to what we're going to read, she made her rounds. Okay. Yeah. So, I think that it starts to get more interesting as we move on through the book. A lot more is going to be revealed. She's naming names. She was like, his name was Steve Huff, or is that was his name? Yeah, his name was Steve Huff. So when I was listening to her, I was like, she ain't gonna say his name. She was just like dating a guy. She calling him out. She just calling out what she know, what she was told, what she saw. So she's not sparing. I don't think she's sparing anybody. And I don't think that she needs to spare people of what she knows. It's her story. It's her life. So I'm interested to see what's next. She said, Harlem says, Sparkle sung background on Aaliyah's album. She already knew what he was. I forget about that because she said it. That's when Sparkle did an interview, and Sparkle said that she wasn't sure that she had got a phone call to come and do some background vocals. She wasn't privy to who that was going to be. When she got there, it was Aaliyah. You're right, Harlem. It was Aaliyah. So she was around. So she saw, okay. She saw how young Aaliyah was. I'm sure she saw the things going on that was supposedly going on with Aaliyah at that age, right? Can we have another Aaliyah like with Rashona? Maybe. Thoughts? I don't know. Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what your thoughts are on this chapter 2. Drop it in the chat. Let us know what you're talking about. Join in the conversation. I would drop the link if anybody wanted to come up, but like every time I drop the link, nobody wants to come up and talk about it. And it's all good. We can talk in the chat. It's all good. So basically, I think it could be fair to say, but alleged, right? Allegedly, the motive is I work with Aaliyah, I'm background singer for Aaliyah, and I'm seeing all this going on. I'm seeing how young Aaliyah is. She running around the studio. I got somebody for that. Rashona, talented. Rashona was a pretty young girl. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can make this work. Possibly. Harlem says, I'm trying to figure out why she never says she was married to Earl when everybody else says they were married. Didn't she say she said she was married to, she did say it. Or was that Rashona that said it? That she was married to, and then all of a sudden she wasn't married anymore. Like he went away. So have we never heard Sparkle say she was married? Because every other person said she was married. And I feel like there is an interview where she talks about, really? It feels like there's an interview that she says she was married. I could be wrong on that. Hold on with me for a second. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but it feels like, thank y'all for hitting the like button. I appreciate y'all so much. I will drop the link, even if nobody want to hit the link. That's okay. But I'm gonna drop the link just for a little bit before we get out of here. In case you guys want to come, anybody wants to come up. I usually do that. Okay. So I know that the link is in the chat. I know that here's my thing about this whole thing. I'm sad for Rashona in that I'm gonna be my honest self. I'm gonna be honest like always. I feel bad for her that people are saying that it wasn't her. They're calling her a liar, saying that she didn't go through that. This is what she said on the interviews. They're still calling her a liar, saying it's not her. On the interviews, they're saying it's her fault that it even happened. like even like calling her fast and a fast tail little girl. But she was thrown into that. She was thrown into that situation. And at that age, she didn't have a choice or even know to say that I'm not going to do that. When she saw that it was R. Kelly was on top of his game. She says that he was on his way up, and he was on his way up, and she was an aspired, like out of the country. They was a fire group. They was on their way. And when she saw him, she was just mesmerized by his celebrity. So whenever they was getting those connections and taking the family cheesecake and doing all these things, she was all in because she dreamed of being successful in the music industry. This is how grimy the business is. And it ain't just R. Kelly. It ain't just Sean Combs. We see it. We're hearing it now even more so. And it's sad because how can you say that any of this was her fault? And by the time she reached 17, 18, she'd been in it for 4 or 5 years. And so that's her life, and that's all she knew. And so how can we say that that's her fault? You can't do that and not have a heart. So that's my 2 cents for today on chapter 2. Our regular shows are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So we go live 4 times a week, and then I do some impromptu lives in between. But our normal scheduled lives, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Say it again. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So tomorrow's Friday. We'll be back. We'll read. We may get a couple of chapters in because the chapters are not very long. But we'll stop after the 3rd chapter, talk about it, and do the 4th chapter if you guys want to. Tomorrow's going to be a late night live. We'll come on later than 8:30, probably around 9:30-ish Central Standard Time. So hopefully y'all can join us tomorrow as we continue to read this book. I think I might take Sunday and talk about some of the other stuff going around, all the other things outside of this, so that we can continue to stay up on those things as well that we talk about. So I might take another extra day to do that, or do shorts or whatever. But join us tomorrow as we continue to read. Like, it's interesting. The book is interesting because I want to know. I did cover the story for a little while. And I just want to know, because I want to know for the fact from her, because she's never spoke about it. And she's really taken a whole different approach to it. She's not like take him down and him gone forever. She's just like, I want him to get help. I don't want people to stop playing his music and knowing him as the artist and the genius he is. But for the stuff behind the scenes that the public didn't know, where was he? Is he alive? Is he okay, Harlem? I'm sorry. So I like that part about her, but she seems like a really genuine person, and that she really cares. She got a big heart. So anyway, that's Rashona. Where at a hotel in Georgia, alive? Was he doing drugs or something? Who found him? Oh, tell. Tell me more. I've been looking for you, Aaron. So anyway, y'all, thank you so much. Let me tell my son. Okay, sorry about that. Woo! So you can run, but you can't hide. They will find you. They will find you. So he's finally been served. Let's dig into that, Harlem, and let's figure that out. Which we know now they can proceed They was gonna find him anyway. Just like I said, you can run. He was running from that lawsuit, but the process server found him in a hotel at Georgia. I'm just to make a short on that. You know that, right? And he has you got served. So that means he's gonna have to go face the music. So y'all know Aaron Hall was missing forever. And resources are saying that he was found in a hotel in Georgia and they were able to serve him. So I'm gonna go take a look at that and do my little research on that as well. If you guys listen, if y'all have anything breaking that you see that we haven't talked about, or anything you know that's coming down the pike, here's my Harlem. Can you put my email out there? If you got anything that's breaking or that I need to know about that I haven't seen, anything y'all need to tell me, you can email me info.blacklinkmag1@gmail.com. That's info.blacklinkmag1@gmail.com. Keep us in the know if you know something we don't. If you want to share something, you can always email me. You can also go over to Instagram at Black Link Magazine and you can DM me over there. I do watch that every day as well, my DM over there as well. So either Instagram, Black Link Magazine, or my email, info.blacklinkmag1@gmail.com. I want to say thank y'all tonight for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate the likes. For keeping up, coming in and hitting the like button. That it matters. It keeps us in the algorithm, for one, and for two, it's just a free way to support the channel and help us to keep pushing. So we appreciate it. There's the email. If you have anything, you can send it to info.blacklinkmag1@gmail.com, or you can go to Instagram and you can DM me at Black Link Magazine. Y'all, we're gonna go for now. I'm gonna check y'all tomorrow. We'll be back later, probably around 9:30ish Central Standard Time, 10:30ish Eastern Time, 7:30ish Pacific Time. So we'll be 9:30ish tomorrow Central Standard to continue our journey in this book until it's done. Because the votes we got, the winner was that we continue to read the book. So again, thank y'all. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night. It's Friday tomorrow, y'all. Have a good night. Bye. Thank y'all. Good night.